when he helped me adjust my earpiece. He instinctively kissed my hair. We were both stunned. Because this is a divorce reality show, we come from different couples. Chapter 1. After my divorce with Alexander, everyone thought I would cling on. He announced our marriage during his peak, after successfully transitioning post-marriage. When he finally won an award, there were always people bringing me up. What does she have to deserve this? She's so lucky. I was the one who initiated the divorce, but it was something he had been waiting for a long time. The actress Laura he's collaborating with in his new drama wears his clothes, uses his phone case, and acts like a couple with him on set. I am still flipping through the calendar waiting for him to come home, repeatedly being hung up on by him with the excuse of being busy. Until one time, I met Laura in first class. She greeted me eagerly, her face beaming with a smile. "You know?" she whispered in my ear. "I used his card for this flight." She did it on purpose. She wanted to force me to divorce. As she wished. I moved out in just half an hour after returning home. I don't want something that has been touched by others. Fortunately, there are no children yet. Alexander leans against the door, watching me. He reacted indifferently and only asked, "What else do you want?" "Your phone." He was taken aback but directly showed it to me. In those years when he loved me the most, I accompanied him from the bottom to the top, always being his only favorite. Now, I have been replaced. Only do not disturb remains. Divorce by agreement. He gave me everything he earned over the years, only asking that I let him go as soon as possible. He said he truly loves Laura. After signing a confidentiality agreement, on the day I left, I thought I would never contact him again, until he called me again. "Let's meet up." In the first month after the divorce, you can't let the fans know you cheated. The show still has to air. I arrived early. In the lounge, Alexander's agent was persuading him. After the divorce, you're still a top actor, while she's just a pure amateur waiting to be laughed at. She must be unwilling to accept it. Just lie to her and say you want to go on a divorce reality show with her. Let her think she can still win you back, trying to please you in every way. In the end, when the show is edited, the audience will find her annoying, and you can maintain your image as a deep and caring person. The agent nudged him. "Are you listening?" Alexander had his legs propped up on the low table, lazily playing a game, and replied, "Yeah. Do you believe that if you just beckon her, she'll come running like a dog, grateful and all?" In the conference room, Alexander is playing with his phone one-handed. Just said a few simple words. "I just agreed. I am on a variety show." He stared into my eyes and paused. "Is it really that you can't live without me?" He was overly confident and easily deceived. I lowered my eyelashes. "Yes, Alexander. Is there still a chance for us?" His gaze was indifferent as he turned his face away and softly spoke. "Let's see how you perform. However," he said, "the script for this variety show is not what you think it is. This divorce reality show will air during the time he and Laura are promoting their new drama, to hype up his and Laura's ship. The variety show is themed changing lifestyles to see marital issues. Laura and he share a room, and I share a room with Laura's husband, that Ethan, who skyrocketed to fame at 19 with a hit drama, won a Grand Slam, and then quickly retired to get married. Alexander just picked up his leaks, walking into fame with a face that looks 70% like his. Rumor has it that Laura and he lived apart after marriage. She loves but cannot have. Chapter 2. Hot Spring Hotel. 2 rooms, separated by a wall. Variety show live broadcast. There is an observation room inside, and viewers' comments outside. Alexander and Laura actually appeared on a divorce reality show. 1 room. Playing so big. The chemistry between the two is absolutely amazing ship. A perfect match. I said long ago that Alexander and his wife had no feelings left. After all, no one likes the one who drags them down. I have been hoping for their divorce for a long time. Is he blind? He loved her so much back then. The staff put the heartbeat watches on Alexander and Laura. When the heartbeat value reaches 70, you can leave the room. Is it really that easy to break up? But unexpectedly, both of their values stopped at 68. Privately, he and Laura did everything together. Too familiar, afraid of making a mistake. In the show, they pretended otherwise. Laura is so polite. She doesn't dare to get too close. Alexander, don't hold back. We support you. Laura was sitting at the door. Alexander is standing on the balcony to get some fresh air. And through a corner, he can see my room over here. Ethan hasn't arrived yet. I am sitting by the bed alone, wearing the heartbeat watch. Someone is knocking at the door. It is a tall man. A baseball cap obscures half of his face, and the wisps of hair on his forehead are dampened by the steam from the hot spring. It's drizzling outside. He carries the clarity of a deep night shrouded in fog. My crush is back. How should I put it, Alexander? There's no harm without comparison. Refuse to step on one odd dot. You have to put this on. I handed the other heartbeat watch to Ethan. Alexander is quite bothered by others saying he looks like Ethan. In the first year of marriage, I walked with him on the streets at dawn, staring at Ethan's giant luxury advertisement, while Alexander pulled his hat over my head to block my view and said sourly, I knew you liked this kind of look. Now, in another room, on the balcony, is Alexander, clearly watching Ethan walk into the room and close the door behind him. Put on the watch. Alexander doesn't mind. He knew since that night that he could never catch up to the envious Ethan, who was bound by a contract to marry Laura. Ethan doesn't even like Laura. Of course, he could never like someone as ordinary as me, a divorced person he looks down upon. Alexander let out a light scoff, seemingly indifferent, yet he scrutinized my reaction without missing a detail. Hello, Rebecca. My value stayed at 50 as I reached out my hand towards Ethan. Hello, Ethan. He shook my hand. A few seconds later, the watch emitted a piercing, sharp beep. Ethan's values are off the charts, but he himself is calmer than anyone. He said, the watch is broken. I said, oh. Chapter 3. Sure enough, after changing the watch, it was normal again. After several rounds of trust games over there with Alexander and Laura, the heartbeat value exceeded 70, and they left the room early. And on my side, Ethan's heartbeat value has always remained at 25, pitifully few, if it never exceeds. I asked the staff, are we going to have to spend the night in the room? Ethan heard this sentence. He stood tall with broad shoulders, wearing a thin black hoodie, his gaze vacant and distant. The staff said, consider it a failed task. You can come out in an hour. Ethan and I were the last to come out. This is such a failure. The two of them have no sense of ship at all. Take her away. Can we not look at her? I just want to see Laura and Alexander. The comments were bleak until the live broadcast ended. The few rooms for post-interviews, cameras, lights, and a crowd of people. Alexander stood in the corner, watching Laura being interviewed, his gaze inadvertently sweeping over me. Are you excited? He inexplicably asked me. Was there a moment when you thought Ethan might like you? I ignored him and wanted to leave, but I was stopped. What should I do, Rebecca? He said, hands in his pockets, tilting his head to look at me. I increasingly feel that divorcing you is the right choice. Someone passed by, and Alexander straightened up, still that gentle, deep, yet shattered look. It seems like I was the one who hurt him the most. After the interview, Laura, under the gaze of the crowd, walked up to me and took my hand. Sister Rebecca. She had an old red string tied around her wrist. You should cherish Alexander, brother. He really loves you. That red string. I have seen it. Last year's wedding anniversary, Alexander was followed by a love child and got into a minor car accident. He was fine. I pulled him up the mountain to pray for blessings, closing my eyes with my heart full of wishes for his safety. I opened my eyes and saw that he had bought another red string. I thought he was going to give it to me, but he said that to put my mind at ease. He had asked for it for himself. Now, however, it is in Laura's hands. Stop being unreasonable, Laura said in front of the camera. I hope more than anyone that you two are doing well. I didn't say a word. Alexander doesn't know. Laura doesn't know either. In fact, there is another subtle reason, one I cannot share with anyone, for agreeing to participate in this variety show. That day, when I closed my eyes, I wasn't thinking of Alexander. Chapter 4. The variety show is recorded on weekends. It focuses on the concept of weekend couples, work days. I picked up my old career and want to return to my original entertainment group as a manager. Ethan and Laura have already divorced. My former boss told me he signed a 10-year contract with Laura's father's company, and now he can finally terminate it. He is restructuring the studio, and I recommended you to him. I saw Ethan at the studio according to the address he gave me. His profile was backlit, his features sharp and rebellious. He indeed had a face that was very suitable for the screen. He is harder to approach than I imagined. I waited outside for a long time. I waited until his assistant ran out to tell me, "I'm sorry, Song, but we might not be able to talk today." On the way back, the car broke down at 11 o'clock at night. In the wilderness, it was raining. I held an umbrella, waiting for the tow truck, watching the vehicles drive by from far to near, like shadows traveling through the night. Not a single one was here to pick me up. In front of me, headlights flashed from the window of a black business car. Ethan's assistant said to me, "Teacher Song, please get in the car first." Ethan was sitting in the last seat, wearing a baseball cap, and had fallen asleep. His breathing was shallow, with long legs slightly bent. The space felt a bit cramped for him. There were many miscellaneous items in the car, and 2 suits were hanging by the window. The fresh scent of pine, the smell of the hand he had held that day. "Teacher Song, I'm going to buy a bottle of water at the gas station in front. Do you want anything?" The assistant asked me softly. "Just call me Rebecca. I'll go with you. Hey." He waved his hand, got out of the car. "I'll go. It won't take long. Once the door is closed, it's just me and Ethan left in the car. There is no one else. And there are no cameras. The headlights flicker slightly, and the interior is dim. Even though there is a row of seats between us, his breath feels so close, as if it's right by my ear. I stare out the window at the supermarket glowing blue in the distance, where the assistant is wandering around a shelf. I remember once while shopping at the supermarket, I saw an advertisement for Laura. "She is so beautiful," I said to Alexander at the time. He reacted indifferently. "It's okay. I don't know." This okay is what keeps him from coming home time and again. Later, I learned from others that Laura was his first love. They broke up when he wasn't famous yet. He can't forget. But at that time, in the supermarket, he just skillfully changed the subject and asked me, "Sweetheart, you haven't dated anyone before me, have you?" "No, at least." That's what I said to the outside world and to him. In the car, someone was kicking my calf. The long legs stretching from the back seat were not an accident. Rather, they were intentionally, maliciously, childishly, and rhythmically kicking lightly. I pulled my legs back to a position where he couldn't reach, not speaking, nor looking back, maintaining the same posture as before, as if nothing had happened. "Rebecca." He spoke, perhaps just waking up, with a hint of carefree youthfulness. "Long time no see. It's been so many years. Why does he still like to call my name like that?" Just like in that small, humid rental apartment, drowning again and again, in his gentle yet uncontrollable, unrestrained invasion of my hands. Chapter 5. After that day, I haven't been in touch with Ethan, until a new weekend arrived. The variety show live broadcast adopts a rotation system. This weekend, the original couple combination will be restored. Director Laura had a tone that was fully understanding, as if she was thinking of the show. "The calls for me and Alexander are too high. If we switch back now, you'll be criticized by the audience." The director pondered for a few seconds, but, "Alexander." Laura turned around. "What do you think?" In front of me, she asked Alexander, "Who will you choose tonight?" She had been waiting for this moment for a long time. The more something is hidden from the light, the more one hopes to be chosen in front of everyone. Alexander understood her thoughts, deliberately brushed past my face, leaning back against the chair. "Is there even a choice?" "The audience doesn't want to see her." Laura got the answer she wanted and looked at me again. "Rebecca's sister. You wouldn't mind, would you? However, you've been a housewife for too long, with little work experience. You probably don't know that the audience's preference is the most important thing. You should consider the bigger picture." All right. I spoke in a straightforward tone. Upon hearing this, Alexander looked up at me. They all think I'm going to cause a scene. This way, I could edit my reaction into the update, thereby highlighting Laura's thoughtfulness and understanding. But I didn't expect to be so straightforward. Laura had a hard time memorizing her lines early in the morning, and after holding it in for a long time, she finally said dryly, "That's good, but you can't go back on it, okay?" I said, "Let's keep it this way from now on." Her expression stiffened slightly. Then she smiled again, played with her hair behind her ear, and said softly, "Are you trying to make Alexander jealous? Who doesn't know that you joined the variety show just to win him back? What should we do? Not only is he not getting jealous, but you can only watch as he walks into my room. Over there, the director's team is calling out. They decided to continue with last week's setup." Before leaving, Alexander playfully asked Laura a question. "Aren't you afraid she will be in the same room with Ethan?" At the mention of this name, Laura reacted quite strongly. She looked as if she had heard the biggest joke. He has never shown interest in anyone. Just her? After being locked up together for a year, he still doesn't like her. The two exchanged glances, sharing a knowing smile. Alexander deliberately took off his coat in front of me to give it to Laura. "Rebecca, if you want to win me back, these tactics are not enough. He wants to provoke me. He wants me to break down and go crazy in public, so he can naturally become the victim." Alexander and Laura were taken to a luxury villa. This is the reward for last week's ship with the highest heart rate value. Laura posted a picture of a candlelight dinner on social media. The bullet screen was completely in favor of it. All of this is what I saw on my phone while in the production team's car. The car is heading to the old town. If these two people's heart rate values don't go up today, they will probably be eliminated. Ethan won't be eliminated. After all, his status is there. He will probably switch partners. It's boring. Why would Ethan take on such a variety show? The more bizarre it is, the more I like it. I have a feeling something will happen. Is the management out of their minds? If something really happens, I'll eat shit upside down. I put away my phone and asked the staff, "Where will Ethan and I stay tonight?" "You have the lowest heart rate values, so you have to accept the punishment. Therefore, you can only stay in." The car stopped, and he lifted his chin, indicating the old residential building in front of me. "Here," he said, "the rental apartment. Get out of the car." The only thing capturing me was a live broadcast camera inside the car. From a distance, I could only capture my silhouette. I couldn't hear any sound. I stood at the door. My mind went blank for a few seconds. I took out my phone and called my former boss, who is also my dear friend. Ethan said to me, "It's been a long time. Right now, I urgently need her to pour a bucket of cold water on me." So what? What else could he say besides that? As I expected, my friend, to say something unpleasant. Who doesn't have an ex? With so many choices, why would he choose you, a divorced person? Just because of those few months you relied on each other? Honestly, that was the lowest point in his life. Who would reminisce about that? You're right. I hung up the phone. I twisted the doorknob. Ethan was on a ladder, working on the ceiling light. Raising his hand inadvertently revealed the subtle rise and fall of his thin skin, the lines smooth. Just like back then, it was just acting, suspended by wires, with bandages wrapped around his waist. That old-fashioned tungsten lamp was in his hand, extinguished yet bright, too familiar, so much so that I stood at the door, unable to go in for a long time. "Dinner." He saw me, simple words, without any extra expression. My unease seemed particularly out of place. It's me who is overthinking. For him, this show might just be a safe way to end his marriage. Outside, it is snowing. He is tall and has strong features, leaning on the counter preparing hot pot. He exudes a husband vibe. I took a picture of his back and posted it on social media. Consider it a task completed for the production team. After eating, he didn't make me wash the dishes. He moved quickly, washed his hands clean, and inexplicably began to make the bed for me. Just one bed. He said he would sleep on the floor. "Do you need to change the bandage on your waist?" I asked him. I can do it myself, he said. After I finished my shower and came out of the bathroom, the thin blanket was already laid out on the floor. He was rummaging through his suitcase for a long bandage. I instinctively avoided his gaze and took out my mobile phone. Alexander sent me a voice message. My hands were wet, and I accidentally played it out loud. Alexander saw the social media post I made. Can you handle hot pot? Last time at home, you said you wanted that cake, so I bought it for you on the way. That cake was what I said I wanted for my birthday last year. He has never bought me one. After waiting so long, now he buys it, just to maintain his deep romantic persona on the show. I look at my phone. The light above is blocked by Ethan. Can you help me? In his hand, he holds that roll of bandage. Didn't he just say he could? Changing the dressing, wrapping the bandage. My hands aren't long enough, so I can only loosely encircle him with both hands. This rental apartment in the north, the heating is insufficient, and the scent of snow mixed with rain seeps in through the cracks of this old house. It is clearly very cold. Yet, he and I have always maintained a distance. My fingertips can only touch the bandage. His face can only be turned sideways, looking elsewhere. Not like that year, in the rental apartment in the south. Stifling heat obscures the sky. It is clearly very hot. Yet time and again, it feels as if there is no tomorrow. Recklessly possessing one another. Slap. The tungsten lamp is lit. At this moment, he and I are standing under the light. In the year when we were the most impoverished and hopeless, we couldn't even bear to replace a single lamp. Use it if you can. That old-fashioned tungsten lamp has been repaired time and again, always swaying past in the middle of the night. At that time, 18-year-old Ethan said to me, "If it rings once, it means I'm thinking of you." Tonight, an age where nothing is lacking, the tungsten lamp rang countless times. I looked up and said to Ethan, "Didn't you fix it just now?" He paused, looking directly into my eyes. I did it on purpose. I asked him, "Why? Once it's fixed, you won't hear it anymore." I was taken aback. He took the bandage from my hand and swiftly wrapped it around himself. "Rebecca." He called my name. Do you prefer hot pot or cake? People must ultimately answer honestly about food. Hot pot. Chapter 6. At this moment, the comment section. Okay. I eat shit. This awkwardness of being unfamiliar yet deliberately avoiding suspicion feels off. Oh. Ethan turned off the lights. Is there anything that my esteemed VIP members cannot see? In fact, nothing happened. Ethan was curled up in a thin blanket, sleeping on the floor, breathing very shallowly. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep, because this bed is too noisy. Every time I turn over, it squeaks. In the past, I complained to him about this too, but while complaining, I also added a phrase that was worn down to the point of losing its temper. "Ethan, don't be too, just take it easy. When I was young, I stayed up all night. Now, a turn, with a creak. I just remembered. It's not just me who remembers." Ethan lifted the blanket, wearing a thin gray t-shirt, and got up to walk outside. He closed the door behind him. With a clang, in the deep neon night, he held a cigarette in his hand. When I met him, he didn't smoke. He was very well behaved. Now, he doesn't smoke either. He just lit one. Not far away, car lights flashed. Ethan made eye contact with Alexander, who had just gotten out of the car. "Delivering a cake," Alexander explained while leaning forward to look through the window. He saw the blankets on the bed and the floor, each untouched by the other. He smiled knowingly. "There's no way," Alexander said. "She's just too clingy." Two people who clearly weren't very close, not speaking to each other. Yet Alexander felt an inexplicable urge to seek some presents. "She's been wanting to eat this for a long time, insisting that I buy it. She won't accept it if someone else buys it. When she wakes up tomorrow and sees it, she'll definitely be moved to tears." "Hey," Alexander raised his eyes. "You don't understand. I'm her first love. Is that so?" The other party finally replied to him. "What would I lie to you about?" Alexander said. "She went on the variety show just to make me change my mind." "That cake," I didn't see it when I woke up the next day. The live broadcast has ended. In this additional segment, the four of them gathered together for the first time. I arrived late and was the last one to come in. The staff gave me a headset. My freshly washed hair was too smooth, and I could never get it on. Over there, Laura and Alexander were drawing question cards. I kept my head down. The headset almost slipped off. The hand of the person on the left was keenly grasped. "Thank you." I want to take it from Ethan's hand, but he didn't let go. Instead, he helped me put it on, adjusting it while putting it on. This isn't a very intimate gesture. It's just colleagues looking out for each other. After all, the camera is here, and the crowd is here. "It's hooked," he said. My hair and the headset were intertwined. He had to lean forward a bit more. From that end, Alexander's voice came through, his peripheral vision sweeping over me and Ethan. A very normal action. If it weren't for Ethan's instinctive kiss on my hair, a taste that is too familiar. I rarely change the things I'm used to. This shampoo has had the same scent for so many years. The scent he left behind. The scene suddenly fell into silence. Alexander suddenly stood up. Ethan withdrew his hand and politely restrained himself as he said to me, "Sorry, I accidentally brushed against you." The PD reacted and saved the situation by saying, "It happens all the time." Let's continue with the questions. After all, it was just a moment, a touch that came and went. It happened so quickly that Alexander didn't even have time to see clearly. It should have just been an accident. He sat back down again. Question and answer game. When it was my turn to draw a card, I drew the first love card. The PD asked me, "Is your first love your favorite?" Alexander propped his head up, his casual demeanor shifting as he looked at me. Everyone's gaze also lingered between me and Alexander. Everyone thought that my first love was him. Yes. Hearing my answer, Alexander straightened up, unable to resist, casting a proud glance at Ethan. But the other party was absent-minded. Ethan turned his face to look at the snow falling outside the window. The window reflected my face. "The same question," the PD said. "Please, Ethan, answer. He and I are in the same group. The card issue is the same. Laura is not his first love. No one knows who that person is. She hates it. She really hates it." Ethan's tone is extremely light. So light that the ending carries a hint of never-before-seen grievance. Everyone on site perked up, straining to hear the gossip. With such great resentment, the PD asked him, "What did she do?" For example, he turned his head, elongating his tone, "Getting married to someone else, yet saying that the one she loves the most is me. The beginning and the end don't match." No one at the scene could understand, but Alexander still unconsciously frowned slightly. The PD flipped the last card. "Rebecca, what do you want to say to your first love now?" 100 safe answers floated in my mind, but what came out was a single sentence. "I hope he doesn't hate me too much." Very reasonable. Everyone at the scene could understand. They all thought I wanted to rekindle things with Alexander. That casual and aloof demeanor of Alexander rose again, his brow raised, wanting to keep me hanging, not planning to give me any way out. Until the same question, Ethan replied, "I just lied to her. I don't dislike her." Alexander began to realize that something was off. Chapter 7, Sunday night. In today's live broadcast, both groups have to return to the original Hot Spring Hotel to create a topic. The production team made the four of them squeeze into the same car to go back. The bullet screen still mainly focuses on shipping Alexander and Laura, but the wind seems to be subtly changing. If you think about it carefully, unless you are as blind as her husband Alexander, you would choose to join us. Jumping to the main character, her husband is still there happily counting money. It's just a coincidence. Ethan and she had no previous connection at all. The discussion about Ethan and me has increased quite a bit. Some fans who love to gossip even created a ship super topic. So, just before getting on the bus, the PD secretly gave me a task note. Open it when you get on. You can only show it to yourself. The car driven by Alexander has cameras installed inside. Laura rushed ahead of me and took the passenger seat. "Hey," she said innocently, turning her head to look at my reaction. "It doesn't even have your name on it. You wouldn't be that petty, would you?" Alexander is happy to see her make things difficult for me. She is planning to watch me get flustered, then step in as a non-stick referee. Give me some sweet dates. But I didn't expect to completely ignore it and got into the back seat. At the red light, the two people in front coincidentally glanced at the back seat through the rearview mirror. Alexander looked at me. Laura is looking at Ethan, and I, along with Ethan, sit at opposite ends of the seat, maintaining the farthest distance. Rebecca. Laura spread her hands, showing me her ring. Last night, Alexander gave it to her. It is the same style as my wedding ring. Don't get me wrong, she said in front of the camera. This is the ring that represents the ship of our characters. I showed it to you so you wouldn't think too much, but you probably can't understand the love I have for the character with Alexander, right? After all, among the four of us, you're the only one who isn't an actor and doesn't have any career aspirations. She spoke incessantly, trying to see some jealousy or resentment on my face. It was meant for me, but also for Ethan to hear. Unfortunately, Ethan has a tendency to fall asleep as soon as he gets in the car, and I kept my head down, staring at that small task list, my mind completely blank. It says above, hold Ethan's hand, and must not be discovered by the other group. The highway in the morning is wide and has few cars. The tropical plants on both sides stretch out like a green sea. Bright yet gentle winter sunlight spills into half of the car. Wherever you go, it is all under the sunlight. Ahead. Entering the tunnel. Finally, a navigation reminder has come. I glanced lightly to my side. Ethan has his eyes closed, his long and distinct hand just hanging in the air. Hold on. He shouldn't notice. Darkness encroaches. Only the lights inside the tunnel flicker by. I muster my courage. I reach out my hand to touch. The person who should have been sleeping coughed, and their hand moved away. Did he find out? My heart trembles again and again. I want to pull my hand back, but I'm afraid it will be too obvious. So I can only place it in the middle of the leather chair. Rebecca. Laura was still saying, don't you think that the person who is deceived in a marriage also has their own issues? If she can't keep her lover, then she shouldn't blame others for taking him away. The tunnel is very short. Short enough that my hand hasn't had time to retract. The car is already under the sunlight. I turned my face away and retracted my hand. Yet in that moment, I was caught. Hot and clean. I instinctively wanted to pull away, but he went along with it. Our fingers intertwined. The old-fashioned love songs from the radio in the car, singing in an extremely cheerful tone about a woman who discovers her husband is cheating, gets up early, leaves her husband who is still sleeping at home, and runs away, waiting for him to wake up and find she is gone, repeating a single line over and over. He should have figured it out by now, right? He should have figured it out by now, right? He should have almost figured it out by now. The last 5 seconds before the song ends, the driver in front, Alexander, couldn't stand that I never responded to Laura, and through the rearview mirror, he said to me, so some people deserve to be betrayed. He cares too much about my facial expressions. So much so that I didn't even notice the two hands tightly clasped together in the middle of the leather seats in the back. I forgot. Ethan is an extremely possessive madman. In the darkness, we cannot hold hands. We must hold hands. Only under the sunlight can we do so. Chapter 8. The weekend live broadcast of the 3rd episode is an outdoor shoot. The Hot Spring Hotel is adjacent to another city. It has a long winter coastline. I just found out today, the PD said while sitting on the bus going through the process, that Ethan and Rebecca grew up in the same place. The theme of this episode is returning to the city where Ethan studied. Previously, no one thought we would have any intersection. In the front row, Alexander furrowed his brow and looked at me sitting at the other end. No, Ethan said, I just attended as a guest student. It is a well-known fact in the industry that Ethan had a difficult childhood, an abusive stepfather and a gambling mother. Previously, it had become a point of attack for the haters. I had no idea that your life was like this. Alexander looks down on Ethan's background, with a sarcastic tone. Let me ask you seriously, what are you so proud of? The tone is tense. Alexander has been unhappy with him for a long time. He has always felt that Ethan could win awards because he met Laura's dad at the age of 19. the entertainment godfather within the circle. He almost changed Ethan's life trajectory. Now, he is divorced from Laura and has terminated his contract with the company. He is completely without resources. And all these resources will become Alexander's. No one in the car dared to speak. As long as he can grow up well. I rested my head on my hand, my tone calm. That's already impressive. Everyone starts from a different point in life. What's there to compare? After getting out of the car, we explored the shops along the city streets. A group of us arrived at Ethan's former school, Shursan Middle School. Built along the hillside, the school opens up to a vast sea. Are you also from Shursan Middle School? Alexander walked beside me and asked. I had actually mentioned it before, but he didn't take it to heart. He smiled, but his eyes were cold. You don't know Ethan? I don't know, I said. There are 25 classes in the same grade, and he is not in the same year as me. Ethan walked behind me and him. Hearing this, I looked up, and his pitch-black eyes were staring straight at me. She is a year above me, Ethan said. Senior sister. The way he said senior sister inexplicably irritated Alexander. He quickened his pace, shouting that he wanted to go to the next place. Bus stop sign. The PD asked Ethan on behalf of the viewers watching the live broadcast. Was your first love also a classmate from Shursan Middle School? Ethan was standing next to me at some point, tilting his head to listen to the PD speak. He didn't look at me. He said she is a bit fierce. Chapter 9. He has always said that about me. There are over 1,000 students in a grade. Logically speaking, Ethan and I might not even see each other at graduation, if it weren't for the fact that he likes to skip class. And I just happen to be a diligent class officer responsible for catching those who skip class. Can you not remember my name? 16-year-old Ethan, slender in build with broad shoulders. When he speaks, he looks at you with a cynical gaze. No, you can't. He said he skips class to go see free underground film exhibitions. Those useless artistic things that parents talk about. If you can't earn money, you can't eat. His tone was so obedient that I thought he was going to turn back to class. But he whistled lightly, climbed over the wall, and did so effortlessly. After successfully escaping, he even looked back. His eyes are rebellious and pure, like water that does not hold back. Then you remember it. Senior sister. I really dislike people who do not follow the rules. Look. High school Ethan is receiving love letters again. The bathroom buddy from back then. Now the boss. My best friend is leaning on the corridor, gazing at the influential figures under the tree at the corner of the school. I said with a cold face. I don't like those who don't listen. He heard it. Where did such good hearing come from? The pitch-black eyes gave a frivolous glance. We should have had no intersection. Until that day. Someone followed me home. I told my mom, but she was busy getting a divorce from my dad. After she finished listening, she turned to me and said one thing. If I divorce your dad. Her face was a cold, extreme sorrow. I only want your sister. My sister is likable. She fell in love early with a young man from society. Didn't want to talk anymore. And then found someone even more handsome. But I don't want to be the bad guy. Turning around, I innocently said to that person, my sister doesn't agree with me being with you. That social youth is the one who has been following me. He found my number. He sent me a message. I know what class you're in. You just wait for me. Even if I have to stay in juvenile detention for a few days, I will make you. You filthy bastard. Bleed. On the way home, a dark shadow has been following me. They can do anything. The bus stop in front of Shursan Middle School. Night snow. Ethan is waiting for the bus. His gaze is fierce, unpredictable, and he has a face that is hard to provoke. I stood there, dazed, right beside him, pretending to know him. He raised an eyebrow, looked past me, and saw the person behind me. Still watching? Are you going to leave or not? Ethan was incredibly arrogant, yet he managed to intimidate those people. He followed me home. Senior sister, he said. Actually, I can't fight. Bluffing. He pretended better than anyone else. I'm sorry. I felt guilty. Thank you for getting involved. He walked in front of me, stopped. The shadow blocked the glow of the streetlight. No, His voice is clean and pleasant. I mean to say, I am the kind of person who listens. I trust him. Maybe he really just climbed over the wall to watch movies. Such pure and innocent eyes looked at me without any impurities. If it weren't for the next day, when I happened to see him looking for someone to beat up those gangsters at the alley, his gaze was indifferent. It carried a kind of decadence and ferocity that did not belong to his age. He tilted his head, tossing the lighter up and down, until that person begged for mercy. After that, no one dared to provoke me again. In my second year of university, I was studying in the provincial capital. My sister called me. Mom still doesn't want to see you. After all, you look like Dad. I asked her, what do you want to say? She chuckled. That handsome guy from your high school, the one who is quite fair. Ethan, do you have his number? Because of blood ties, I always lacked the courage to cut ties completely. But that day, I blocked her contact. And for decades after, until I got married and divorced, I never contacted her again. At that time, Ethan had just finished his college entrance examination. We haven't been in contact for 3 years. We are completely unfamiliar with each other. Chapter 10. The response to the 3rd episode was good, so the production team decided to visit my city for the 4th episode. But that would just repeat the previous episode. Where did you go to university? The production team decided to go there and take a look. Nanching. As soon as the words left my mouth, the staff looked surprised. Hey, isn't that also the city where Ethan went to university? Alexander looked up, his gaze deep as he stared into my eyes. That strange, almost palpable sense of unease was becoming increasingly evident on his face. Before the 4th live broadcast, I ran into Alexander and Laura at the finale of their new drama. According to his agent's original plan, by this promotional point, social media should be flooded with insults about me. But the reality is quite the opposite. Due to my indifference and the explosive setup of the show, my and Ethan's bizarre ship seems to be on the verge of surpassing. Although Rebecca and Ethan aren't familiar in public, it always feels like it's not that simple behind the scenes. I also want to say that the atmosphere in the car during the 2nd episode was a bit strange. I am sick. I have a Alexander problem where I feel lively whenever I'm not feeling well. Alexander's agent turned around and bought trending topics. #Rebecca is making hashtag. #Rebecca has delayed Alexander for many years. Various entries with my name have gone through several rounds. There was a small account in the square that posted on social media. Actually, the two have already divorced. In just 1 hour, it received over 1,000 likes. She liked every comment supporting Alexander and Laura. Half an hour later, she posted another picture of me. In the photo, I am wearing loungewear. My complexion is pale, and my hair is messy. She captioned it, "No wonder he doesn't want you." This photo was taken by Alexander while he was resting at home with a bad cold. At that time, I was enduring menstrual pain and made him congee. He is picky. When he feels unwell, he only drinks the congee I make. Take a picture. Take a picture. I wasn't feeling well and didn't want to take a photo, but he insisted on recording how good his wife is and pulled me in for a shot. Later, when I was gathering evidence for the divorce and went through his phone, I discovered it. That day, that photo, he immediately sent it to Laura. She is so ugly. I couldn't take it anymore. Under that post with the picture on social media, the comments did not go as this alternate account had expected. Some rational netizens have started to criticize her. Is human flesh search interesting? This photo is too private. It's reasonable to suspect your identity. Who isn't like this at home? This alternate account kept deleting comments. And ultimately, seeing the situation was not good, had no choice but to delete the photo. Are you using an alternate account to criticize Laura? The night before the live broadcast, Alexander called me. He sent me a screenshot. I recognize this ID. It's his career fan, retaliating against Laura and Alexander. Alexander's career is at its peak, a critical period for his reputation. To the outside world, it seems he hasn't divorced yet, and just to stir up a ship with Laura, he's taking on this explosive variety show, which is simply absurd. I thought he was possessed by me. Although he attracted quite a few ship fans, the more powerful loyal fans dropped off quickly. But who would have thought? He was also left with no choice. Joining this variety show is just to whitewash their infidelity and to throw the dirt onto me. Those were fans who used to support you a lot. Have you forgotten? He said. Isn't it you? Of course not. I found it ridiculous and wanted to hang up the phone. He said another sentence. No matter what. Laura is crying. She is unhappy. And you can't escape your responsibility. He said impatiently, Rebecca. You must apologize. Alexander. Are you angry that Laura is upset? Or are you angry that your fans are abandoning you? I hit a nerve. And his tone became subdued. Are you really that obsessed? Do you believe what those netizens say about you and Ethan? Why don't you just go like Ethan? He mocked with a smile, his attitude condescending. Stop liking me. It's exhausting. In the past, when it got to this point, I would back down. But now, I blurted out, okay. I knew you would disagree. Why are you so spineless? He spoke casually, only realizing halfway through that something was wrong. What did you say? He heard clearly. I didn't repeat it, and hung up the phone. Weekend live broadcast. Alexander's agent has been waiting for me to lose control of my emotions. But I didn't expect that the problem was Alexander. He helped Laura blow dry her hair. As he was blowing, his hand got tired, so he handed the hairdryer to her. It's nothing, but there is a small problem. The moment he handed it back, he shouted, Rebecca, take this. As soon as the words left his mouth, he didn't realize anything was wrong. It wasn't until he saw Laura's stiff expression that he realized what he had said. That night, Ethan didn't come to the live broadcast. He made a comeback last year, and the film he shot was nominated for top international awards. His flight abroad is tonight. I wander alone in the city that I was familiar with many years ago. When I returned to the hotel, I saw Alexander standing by the door, waiting for me. Wasn't he supposed to be having dinner with Laura? The production team said that Alexander actively requested to switch back to the original couple pairing. The program was originally set up this way. The PD said to me, just for tonight, hotel suite. I confirmed the positions of the cameras around. Alexander shut the door behind him. His expression was calm and cold. On the brown glass table, a feast was laid out. Eat, he said. I made it myself. During those years of marriage, he never did this. Seeing that I wasn't moving my chopsticks, he smiled slightly. What's wrong? Over there. Weren't you eating happily? I confessed. Looking at your face, I can't eat. His pupils constricted for just a few seconds, suppressing his emotions, and finally turned into a smile. Just because I spent 2 weeks with Laura, you became disheartened? Rebecca, I need to work. You can't get jealous every time. Can you? Alexander was both acting deeply affectionate in front of the camera. I habitually felt that as long as he showed a little kindness, I would eagerly climb up the pole. But I am not. When I moved my things to another room, his face turned ashen, sitting alone at the dining table, watching the dishes grow colder bit by bit. I didn't leave the room. He gave a self-deprecating smile. Immediately, he called room service and spilled an entire table of dishes. Every staff member has a key to the suite door. That night, I didn't sleep very soundly, especially in my dreams. I was kissed. It landed on my brow, light yet real, carrying the desolation of a hurried winter night. The next day after the live broadcast ended, during breakfast, Alexander is in a good mood. After such a performance last night, the audience's perception of him improved quite a bit. I feel so sorry for my Alexander. Rebecca, why is this happening? This variety show is just a couple's version of a dating show. I can't understand why they still want to come here. Laura, baby. Come quickly and save him. The three above must have some issues. Alexander called the wrong name Laura. It's disgusting. Even if the ship fans are okay with it, why set up such a deep emotional persona after getting divorced? Is it really that hard to talk about likes and dislikes? Rumor has it that they have actually divorced. His agent told him that the initial hype has been sufficient, and it is estimated that the next episode will announce the news of his divorce from me. Take me out for a spin, and he'll perform as the deeply wronged man once again. In the final episode, Laura heals him and sprinkles some sweetness. The two of them can perfectly clear their names. This episode is crucial. No matter what happens, his manager warned him, you must not lose your temper. He sipped his coffee, his gaze resting on me. With victory in hand, he responded nonchalantly, what could possibly happen? After hanging up, he knew I could hear everything clearly, but he was certain that even if I knew, it wouldn't stir up much of a commotion. After all, I have signed a confidentiality agreement and received a substantial compensation. Even now, he still has to transfer money into my account. Are you sad? He looked at me with disdain. No matter what. It can't compare to Laura, and I can't have her. His lips moved as he continued to say something. I looked at him, but his words didn't register. It was only when he paused to drink his coffee that I lightly asked a question. Was it you who kissed me last night? The door to the room is open, and staff members are moving various equipment in and out. Why should I kiss? He frowned, realizing something. The room suddenly fell silent. The chatter of the staff outside became unusually clear. How do you have milk tea to drink? At 5 in the morning, Ethan delivered breakfast and desserts to all the staff. Didn't you get any? I went to take a dump and missed out on a fortune. Here, have some to drink. Don't be sad. Why is he back? Isn't he supposed to be at the film festival? Oh, he said there was something very important he had to do before leaving, so he flew over from Beijing and then off to another country. He must be exhausted? Yes. I heard he still has a fever. Who is the one that kissed me? I guessed it. Alexander also guessed it, but he didn't believe it. He shut the door behind him, cutting off the sound. Yet he still didn't turn around. Sounds like you're telling the truth. He moved swiftly, gripping my wrist and dragging me up from the sofa, forcefully pressing me against the door. You knew he came back last night all along, deliberately lying to me that someone kissed you. He laughed somewhat hollowly, with no life in his eyes. How disgusting, Rebecca. To go to such lengths just to make me angry. Do you really think he could like you? He clenched tightly. If he really is blind enough to like you, it's only because I stole his wife, and he's just retaliating. Do you understand? After saying that, he pushed me away. You were the one who came on to him, but then again, this has always been your style. If you didn't act this way, who would want you? I listened to him calmly until he finished. With a swift motion, I grabbed the ashtray from the coffee table and smashed it hard against his head. It fell to the ground with a dull thud. He was stunned by the blow, blood streaming down from his eyes. He stared at me blankly. How could you bear to do this? Outside, the PD was knocking on the door. Alexander bro, we found something. He nervously grabbed a tissue to wipe his forehead. Wait a moment. Ignoring the pain, he stuffed the blood-stained tissues into the trash can. He opened the door. The PD was startled and asked him what was wrong. It's nothing. Just bumped into something. He asked the PD what he was holding in his hand. Only then did the PD notice me in the room, leisurely picking up the ashtray and politely placing it back on the coffee table. Don't cause unnecessary trouble for the staff. The PD is mumbling. Alexander was already irritated by a throbbing pain in his forehead and grabbed the paper to look at it himself. This is an extremely ordinary registration form. It's very old. It's a photocopy. There records the rental payment situation of the apartment every month. Tenant. That is my name. 800 yuan. Every month. Those who pay must confirm with their handwritten signature. But that signature, at this moment, on the film festival red carpet, thousands of miles away, the flamboyant and unrestrained handwriting just signed on the backdrop. Exactly the same. Ethan. Chapter 11. Nanching. The summer is long and humid. During the summer vacation of my sophomore year, I met Ethan. I was working at a tutoring center downstairs, while he was upstairs as a model. We knew each other, but never greeted one another. After all, how familiar can you be with someone you haven't contacted in 3 years? He had to cross the entire city to return to school, a full 3.5 hours on the bus, and I had temporarily rented a room nearby. On that night when the heat was at its peak, there was a typhoon. I was the last one to lock the door. I saw a group of people upstairs passing by, chatting and laughing. Ethan has grown taller again. Walking behind is also quite eye-catching. He didn't look at me even once. By the time I reached the elevator, they had already gone down. It's empty. Actually, a simple greeting would have been fine. After all, we were once alumni. I went downstairs with my bag. The night the typhoon came, it wouldn't rain. The sky, which should have been ink black, was dyed an unusually deep pink. Ethan was just standing there, wearing a loose black hoodie. His bangs fell obediently over his forehead. His gaze was unguarded. And under the porch light, those eyes held the clarity of a summer night. Like a homeless little dog. Senior sister, the bus service has stopped. That night, I took him back to the single-room rental I temporarily rented for 800 yuan. The bed was pitifully small. Later, when he stood on the stage of the highest award, receiving accolades as a genius actor, adored by the public, I was still in this rental apartment eating instant noodles. The only thought flashing through my mind was one, his first time at 18, squeezed onto my small bed. It really was unfair to him. I don't understand. Many media outlets describe him as unruly, with a talent that exceeds the norm, arrogant and fearless. But in my impression, he was always obedient that summer. He was very well behaved. He did all the housework and cooked 3 meals a day. Always call me senior sister, only in bed. Naughty, calling me in a different tone, Rebecca, crossing the line. No matter what you say, they won't listen. Only later did I understand what it meant for his talent to lie entirely in his acting. Moreover, the modeling agency I worked for upstairs didn't exist at all. 3.5 hours. Just to see me again and again, watching me safely get home. To send once is to send 1,000 times. Chapter 12. Alexander was not angry. It was as if all his emotions had been drained away. And in a matter of seconds, he came to a realization. My first love is not him. It is a man who looks 70% like him. A prize he desires but cannot attain. A man who won it at the age of 19. From the day he debuted, he has been seen as his substitute. Alexander crumpled the paper in his palm, saying little. What does it matter? He scoffed. That was hundreds of years ago. What does it represent? He turned to leave, not even glancing at me. Yet at the doorway, he collapsed straight to the ground. Alexander as his manager wished. He suffered greatly in this episode, so everyone thought he was hospitalized due to heartbreak. He directly topped the trending list. Alexander when I woke up, I was packing things in the hotel. He looked around. Laura stood by his side, but didn't see me. Where's my wife? He asked Laura. Laura, angrily trembling, slapped him several times. The variety show paused filming. Indefinitely extended. Laura came to find me once. She had already gotten him, yet she still had to repeatedly assert her presence in front of me, as if my involvement was necessary. Only then does their love have an anchor point. He began to grow tired of her emotions. She started to be unable to stand his indifference. It was increasingly like the time when I was with Alexander. As passion fades, they too will face the same problems I did. Falling in love with someone like Alexander. Laura naively thought she could be the exception. But she was not. She realized this so long ago, countless times on variety shows, countless times in reality. She can only suppress me. For example, the first attack launched against me, completely unprepared, on the airplane. Then, time and again, I derived a sense of superiority from the look of pain on my face, to prove that her choice was not wrong. But now, she sits in front of me. Her emotions have become too intense, leaving only cold eyes and slightly trembling hands. Why aren't you angry anymore? I didn't answer her and got up to leave. She laughed out loud. She said, "Let me tell you a secret. Marrying Ethan was a lie she concocted. She thought she could always keep him warm. After all, he had received such great favors from her family. If it weren't for her father pulling him out of that 800 yuan rental apartment, he would still be the dregs of society. She thought he would at least be fascinated by her, because Ethan spent his life striving to go to Rome, while Laura was born in Rome. But he didn't. I thought a person like him wouldn't love anyone. But do you know what I discovered after I got married? All of his passwords were 207. At first, I thought it was someone's birthday, but later I realized it was the door number of that rundown rental apartment. It's so ridiculous that what he has always thought about is the person he loved during his lowest point. I have extra vacation time. After getting my visa sorted, I grabbed my luggage and headed to the airport. While sitting in the lounge watching a show, someone sat down next to me, fully armed Alexander. Let's talk. At the airport, in front of the large glass window, the blue sky is reflected. He is dressed in black, looking quite thin. There is a faint scar on his forehead. It hasn't healed completely. What is the real reason you are on the variety show? He asked himself and answered, it's not to win me back. It's to see him, right? Even marrying me is just because I look like him, isn't it? I didn't speak, calculating the boarding time. Rebecca, is it fun to deceive? Is it interesting to toy with my feelings? I interrupted him. Where did your feelings come from? You are the one who cheated. You are the one who claimed to love Laura. And you are the one who deceived me into joining the variety show just to slander me. I'm just returning the favor. Why do you see yourself as the victim? If I were just the one who loved you, Rebecca, when I questioned you like this, would you listen patiently? Alexander, you said it yourself. I returned every word to him. Some people deserve to be betrayed. When the time came, I turned to board the plane. My phone was off when I received a text from Alexander. I will definitely ruin you. Chapter 13. Only when you hurt yourself will you understand the pain. Alexander has always believed this. If Ethan and my reputation are ruined, I will come back. But Alexander cannot distinguish whether this impending revenge is because of my departure, or because for so many years, people in the industry always mention Ethan when they see him. That kind of destructive urge, suppressed for too long, is stronger than ever. He had this divorce reality show re-edit from start to finish, creating a complete live broadcast collection. The day of the release, he specifically chose Ethan to go on stage to accept the award that day. Alexander's social media only posted one sentence. She was the one who cheated, and they are already divorced. Public opinion was in an uproar. Alexander and his agent both thought that they had the upper hand and were sure to win. Rebecca is just an ordinary person, and Ethan has no resources. Their team can't keep up. A night passed. Alexander was trembling with excitement, still unable to open social media to celebrate. There was a knock on the door. He was arrested. His agent was also arrested. The day of the divorce agreement, he thought I was so sad that I couldn't control myself. I looked at his phone just to confirm my importance in his heart. But little did he know, I was gathering evidence. The day Laura approached me on the plane landed. I was the first to call my best friend. I had always suspected Alexander of tax evasion. My best friend taught me how to gather evidence and how to report it. Later, she reminded me again. The evidence gathering process is quite lengthy. You'd better play the part completely. Isn't he asking you to participate in that ridiculous variety show? You should just go play with him to lower his guard. I went. The intention was revenge. Meeting Ethan was unexpected. The complete version of the variety show that Alexander posted that day was repeatedly analyzed by up owners on a certain site. After the clever minds of netizens and the marketing accounts' efforts to drag each other down, it was finally discovered that the ones who cheated were Alexander and Laura. The date, time, and location all matched up, and my reunion with Ethan was after both of us got divorced. It was purely a low-probability accident. On the day the plane landed abroad, I sneaked into the backstage using the work ID given to me by Ethan's assistant. The celebration banquet has already started. A French director rose to prominence and asked Ethan, "Are you willing to take a bet?" The music was deafening. He lowered his head and covered his ears, asking him, "What are we betting on?" The other party said something to him in French. "I bet," he said. He lost the bet and accepted the punishment. Surrounded by a group of friends, they flicked his forehead. The evening party was in shades of purple, with gold foil falling from the sky. Ethan walked towards the light. His eyes were misted with a faint layer of tears. His friends teased him. "Wait a minute. This brother," he said irritably. "When you were filming, you got stomped into the hospital by a horse and didn't make a sound. Now, after we flick your forehead, your eyes are red?" Are you acting? Ethan turned his head. Why do you care about me? Someone raised an eyebrow and pointed at me standing by the door, saying to that friend, the one who will feel heartache has arrived. So we must put on a show. Ethan pushed them aside. Through the crowd, we locked eyes, and he walked towards me step by step. What were you just betting on? And how did you lose the bet? They said to bet on whether you could see your lover tomorrow. I said no, and I lost. He walked up to me and embraced me. I have to see her today. Chapter 14. Are you good? Many years later, my best friend laughed for at least 10 minutes when she heard me describe Ethan this way. Baby, how could that be? She said, Ethan, if he were still innocent, he wouldn't have made it this far. The kind of catastrophic beginning that people talk about online. For others, it's a joke. For Ethan, it's reality. He really is like he was born in a public restroom. He doesn't know who his biological father is. He follows his mother. He learned to buy groceries and cook at the age of 7. Watching his mother get drunk. Watching her get beaten by men time and again, yet still unable to leave. As a child, he would always apply medicine to his mother, curled up beside her, warming her hand. He loves her, without any conditions, because she is mom. It wasn't until high school that he realized his mom had been destroying other people's families. He followed the trail, finding her home from school. He didn't dare to approach. Inside, the woman was hysterical without end, while the man remained coldly abusive. The child squatting on the stone steps outside could only draw aimlessly in the sand, making himself invisible. At that moment, Ethan wished he could die in place of his mom. Just like later, Laura's dad gave him the opportunity to become famous, signing him for 10 years, the most valuable 10 years of his acting career. The wealth he created left him with nothing. It all went into Laura's father's pocket. He can't leave, making money day and night, with over $1 billion in compensation. He will never be able to repay it in his lifetime. No one knows how much he suffers. During the hardest year, he contemplated ending it all. Anyway, he is atoning from birth to death. In the room, he dialed countless numbers on the small, old flip phone, 207. It's too painful. He thought that when he no longer wanted her, he would just die. But that moment never came. Every moment, he is thinking of her. That year, Laura was trending in the news for chasing after him, and I thought he would never come back to find me. By some strange twist of fate, I agreed to Alexander. After all, I need money and resources. I don't want to be alone, staying in that $800 rental apartment. And Ethan, after a year, also saw the news of my official announcement of marriage on the trending list. At that time, Laura's father was seriously ill. The man who had both helped and hurt him, after being tormented by illness repeatedly, agreed to let Ethan go. As long as you marry Laura, if you help Laura obtain the equity, you can get a divorce, and I'll let you go. He agreed, got married, and then divorced. In the end, Laura wanted him to appear on a variety show. He saw my name. That night, he went out in the rain. Hot Spring Hotel. After a long separation, the first thing I said to him while holding a heart rate monitor was, "You need to wear this. It's over. I can't fool her." Ethan thought. He didn't know how much familial affection needed to be repaid to feel liberated. He doesn't know when the debt of gratitude will be repaid. To be considered clean, there is no unconditional love in this world. He thinks. But Rebecca, as long as he is happy. Chapter 15. That year, I went up the mountain to pray for blessings. I close my eyes. There is a vague, unspoken wish. I wish Ethan to be happy. I hope everyone can meet the person they want to see, no matter how many years